Okay, you're back. Okay. You'd frozen there, now you're here. Okay.
Okay.
I've
Yeah,
changed
well, I
room.
can clip all that off, so.
Uh-huh. I'd just like to point out I've changed room, but I had to put up this.
Yeah, I've noticed the decor is different. We don't have that same monotone,
We
yellowish, reddish background.
we could actually be living in the same house at the moment, except you've got some funky wallpaper going on.
Really. I didn't pick the wallpaper. Just for the record, I had nothing to do with the
Are they
wallpaper.
fruit or flowers on the wallpaper?
They're cherries.
Oh,
It's cherries, yes.
okay. So pop those
This is the
cherries.
cherry room.
Okay.
So, Ian, you've been a little bit out of the loop. What's been going on? Where have you been?
Um, Sorting out my financial status, trying to pay taxes. I entered the tax system in Mexico after 10 months, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Is
So
it over?
it's over. I finished it today. But it took me about 4 days of talking to different accountants and talking to my boss and talking
Yeah,
to
okay. You
so
had me working overtime,
yeah,
trying to quell the masses.
you're putting in good work. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever. You left me out all alone in the whole gun debate.
You're
I was
good.
getting my ass kicked by
No,
everybody.
I don't think you were. They were just. We have a lot of. I didn't realize we had a lot of fans who are quite the fans of assault rifles and so on. So tell.
Well, there's a whole new meaning to the militant atheist, doesn't it? I mean,
Mm.
these are armed militant atheists. I'm surprised by one thing. The one thing that surprises me is how incredibly ideological they are about the topic. And isn't that what we're always making fun of with believers? Is their ideology? Is there cognitive dissonance? And here I am talking to people who are non-believers that are applying 100% cognitive dissonance to their view on guns.
Mhm.
And I'm still trying to process that.
Well, what happened? 'Cause I wasn't around. I only saw that you had some lengthy debate.
Well,
Not really
the whole
debate because no one was listening to anybody. But yeah.
yeah, everybody was just saying the same NRA shit over and over again. The whole thing rooted from a bill that was voted on by the Senate last week, Manchin-Toomey Amendment, which was supposed to legislate background checks for gun sales in the U.S. that are currently exempt. And it was supposed to put limits on assault clips, like the clip capacity on assault weapons.
Hmm.
It was a compromise. It was a compromise bill. But it was going to close a couple of loopholes regarding gun purchases. Because now you don't need to go to a background check to buy a gun over the internet. And you don't need to do a background check on private sales. And you don't need to do a background check on gun shows.
Hmm.
Okay? And yeah, that's a huge loophole. So anyways, the NRA obviously was against this because they're against everything. They're against anything and everything that has to do with gun control. So I was making my commentary for the day because it didn't pass the Senate, even though it won a majority vote. Okay? Which is one of the big problems we have in this country is the majority vote doesn't win anymore in the Senate. You've got to have 60 votes, and that's because of a filibuster rule that's being played by the Republican minority. So 51 votes doesn't cut it anymore. Now it's got to be 60. You have to have 60 votes to break the filibuster, and then once you break the filibuster, then you can vote on the bill.
But they didn't do it.
Well, no, they got 54 votes. They were 6 votes short. So, of course, there are a lot of people pissed off about that
Hmm.
because this is something that 90% of the United States citizenry want. They think, even gun owners think background checks is a logical thing to have on all sales, not just sales in a gun store. So, needless to say, I raised the issue with some memes, with a couple of posts, and yeah, we woke up the armed militant atheist crowd. I mean, I was getting pummeled out there, and I wasn't really getting pummeled because these guys were just coming back and arguing based on the same NRA canned bullshit that they've been saying for decades. I mean, it never changes. Their argument never changes. So here's a guy that comes on and starts making a big stink about, oh, more murders happen with hammers and clubs than they do with rifles. That's your argument? Come on. So, I mean, enough logical-minded people got involved in the debate. It wasn't just me. But I mean, my argument is this. Anywhere I go in the world, in the industrialized world, I am 500 to 700% safer than I am in my own country. That's ridiculous. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. We should have the same standards. We should have the same statistics that the UK has, that Australia has, that Canada has. And we're not. We're literally a third world country in that department.
What do you think about, I saw a lot of arguments that they were saying, well, you know, the one argument was that, one guy was saying that, he's saying America was built on violence, so that's why they need to retain this amendment. Surely because it's called amendment, it can be amended.
Well, it's an amendment to an existing law. It's just a rider to an existing law that's already on the books. That's why they call it an amendment. It's not a constitutional amendment. It's a bill amendment to an existing law that, again, everybody was in favor of. It was drafted by a Republican and a Democrat, Manchin and Toomey. They were the ones who drafted it, and it was supposed to just breeze through the Senate. And because of this stupid 60-vote rule, it got killed. I mean, this is why things are not happening in the United States. You can't pass anything anymore because of this bullshit filibuster.
I have to take you back to when we talked about this back in January, and I did ask you, I said, do you really think anything's going to change?
What was my answer?
You were full of optimism. That's what I remember.
Nah, I was positive, and I still am. Listen, it's still a good thing that Obama won. It's still a good thing that Romney isn't there, because then literally everything would be toast. You see what I'm saying? But the point is that this is more a commentary on the plutocracy that owns the United States than there is on the political process. That's really what the problem is. The problem is that the gun industry has so much power that they were still able to kill this bill by leveraging this Republican filibuster, you know, then leaving it subject to a real vote. I mean, that's it. But anyways, it doesn't matter to me so much. I don't spend enough time in the States for me to be personally invested. But it's just a commentary. Huh?
It pisses me off because where I am, everyone's killing each other with rifles from the States. So,
and we're going to keep exporting them as long as you guys keep buying them.
Yeah, exactly.
End of story.
Supply and demand, man. Yeah.
NAFTA, dude. It's all about NAFTA. So, anyways, that was...
Is that a kill, though? That's it done for another while until there's another...
It's killed. It's killed. They're going to try to revive it in the next session. But who knows? I mean, for now, nothing happens. They may introduce another bill with the same contents, you know, and run a new vote. That's kind of what they're talking about doing now. But it's wide open. I mean, the fact is that people can still buy guns without background checks. Unless you walk into a gun store and buy a gun, you can get away without doing the background check.
That's fucked up. I don't know why you need all these guns anyway. But that's another.
Well, that was the big point of the debate yesterday that I was having with a couple of our more vocal gun nuts. It's like, what the fuck do you need an assault weapon for? What one guy who was brutally honest was saying, because they're fun. I like getting together with my friends, and we shoot them up at the gun club. It's fun. And I'm like, like, okay, so because it's a fun hobby, never mind the social cost, never mind the fact that people are being killed just so you can keep your hobby wide open and legal without any regulation. Fuck you. Literally, I said, fuck you. I mean, I lost patience because I had at least 4 guys at 4 different times during the course of the day having the same argument with me. They were saying the same drivel. And after a while, I had to be the admin. I had to start deleting posts. I had to start deleting messages and letting them know, hey, I'm not going to go into this again with the same drivel. If you don't have a new argument, forget it. Just forget it.
Yeah, well, you're right. We've lost a few fans. That's about it. Is that it? that's the extent.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, I'm not really sure I want gun-happy militant atheists in our camp anyways. I really don't. It's not what we're about. We're not about hating and killing and protecting our private, personal rights to the very end. No, fuck that. That's not what we're about. You're more left than I am. And we do disagree on a lot of stuff because of that. I'm more of a moderate. I'm more, self-sovereign, libertarian. But even the libertarians piss me off. I resigned from the Libertarian Party after Newtown because I don't want to have any part of a party who does not understand that with rights come responsibilities. So I was like, fuck you. I'm not a libertarian anymore. And, I'm a man without a party now. I have no party. I'm as independent as they come.
You're not invited to the party, Tommy. Don't worry about it. Neither am I.
I never get invited to parties either, but that's another story.
Don't worry about it. That's another thing.
Yeah. So you had an interesting little exchange. Oh, before I forget, I want to talk about this. The last recap.
Yeah.
We were talking about the whole Thatcher thing. Remember?
Oh, yes.
And remember...
For your eulogy. Go on.
Huh?
You got hammered for your eulogy that you gave Thatcher.
Right. And one of those guys that was hammering me, owed up and admitted he was wrong. He admitted, he researched it, which I got to give him a lot of respect. Damien Royce, he stepped up, he parked his hatred for Thatcher, and he researched the history, and he discovered what we were talking about the mobilizations on the Eastern Bloc, about, the risk factors involving an invasion, both conventional and nuclear. And he admitted that Thatcher made the right decisions. But what he didn't do was he basically said that whoever was prime minister would have made the same decision, which isn't true. Because Callahan was a pussy. Callahan that was Thatcher's predecessor, wasn't letting NATO do shit, didn't want the U.S. setting up any additional bases. He was a pussy. He was a no-nuke. So let's just face facts that no, had there been a Labour prime minister, they would have been following Callahan's doctrine, and that's end of story. So that was the only thing he didn't know up to. But he admitted that Thatcher made the right decisions.
Well, well, that's okay. I mean, I hated her for a lot of reasons, but not for that.
Right. Well, I'm just saying is that he at least admitted she at least almost single-handedly averted a nuclear disaster on European soil.
Fair play.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to get that out there. So now let's go back to you.
What were we talking about? You were asking.
Well, about your little exchange regarding.
Oh, it's still ongoing. Is this with the Timothy dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. He. What was he saying? I don't know what. I can't remember the post that I put up.
Well, he was just being awfully apologetic about the.
Apologetic about the church. And
yeah. And he was trying to say, oh, we should point our attention to the porn industry in America because that's much more destructive.
It's quite funny, actually, that he pointed out. No, we should don't concentrate on the Catholic Church. Concentrate on that other thing of perversion, the porn industry. Attack them. and going on about actresses who are 18 with meth addicts, and just the guy, I don't know what he's talking about. It's still ongoing, but it's the typical thing. I know about the Post was all about pedophilia in the church, and we all know that that's something that hasn't been addressed, that's been covered up, that's been ignored deliberately. And this guy is again another believer who's just.
I'll tell you what throws me off about these
Rating,
is how transparent their apologism is. I mean, they can't even be apologists with any facts, with anything tangible. They have to go off on these like subjective arguments. Oh, but look how bad porn is. Oh, and look at Penn State.
Yeah,
they had a child molester in Penn State. I mean, they're trying to identify one university that covered up one molester to an entire church that covered up literally tens of thousands of molesters.
His argument was that he never had any abusive priests, or his coach was great. I mean, it's like, come on. What kind of argument's that? Like,
it was comical. It was comical. And I think what's funny is that a lot of Catholics that are reading our threads aren't chiming in the way they should be.
Aren't chiming in?
Well, no, we do get the people that do chime in, but they're always the same ones. Mm-hmm. But then every once in a while, we'll get somebody who has a good story, who, you know, for whatever reason, but they're not actively involved in the discussion. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Because they'll get shot down. You know, excuse the choice of words, but
they got shot down.
They will get shot down. You don't think they don't have a leg to stand on. If they were, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I suppose that has some merit.
What do you think?
Okay. Well, no, I agree with you, but I just think for instance, like someone like me, I was never molested.
No.
And I think the only reason I wasn't molested was because I had a nervous breakdown in 3rd grade. You know, I was drafted into being an altar boy. I didn't want to be an altar boy. I was drafted into it. And the only way I can get out of it was to have a complete and total nervous breakdown in the sacristy.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because first of all, the older altar boys were really mean to me. Mm-hmm. The priests were assholes. And I didn't want to be there. I had no desire to be there. I was having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, walk through the fucking snow to serve a Polish language mass. I was 8 years old. This is cruel and unusual punishment. So after about maybe 5 or 6 weeks of this, I just completely melted down. And my parents came and got me, took me home, and said I don't have to be an altar boy. And that was the end of my altar boy career.
Wow, you're saved. I think I did it once, but I don't. It was so long ago, maybe when I was 6 or 7. I remember the bells. I had to ring a bell, and so I was waiting the whole fucking service, going, when's my moment? When's my moment? And then it's just a ding-a-ling-a-ling, and that's it. That's all I did.
Yeah, one time I missed my cue to ring the bell. I was late. And then after the mass, you know, we're back in the sacristy, and the priest that was, you know, doing the mass, he like signaled me over Santos. And I walked up to him, and he fucking backhanded me across the face.
Fuck off, really? Jeez.
He fucking backhanded me across the face. And I was like, crying my eyes out. And he was like, that's for being late with the bell. Don't ever do that again.
Jesus. No wonder
that was my first week as an altar boy.
Now we know why everything has happened. Okay.
So, but I think a lot of these people that chime in and then hold themselves back, I think it's because they were victims at some point, and they still can't talk about it.
Hmm.
So they don't want to get to a point
Where they,
where they end up having to talk about it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my theory.
I'd hold a lot in that theory actually. There's a lot of repressed stuff going on. I mean, it took in Ireland when it all blew up. It took for the boys who first came out to reach adulthood, and we're talking adulthood like into their 30s and 40s before they could say what was happening back in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there's probably a lot to that. A lot to that.
Well, hey, let's switch gears. Let's talk about this whole Boston thing.
Okay, go for it.
Because you put up a blog post, which was supposed to come out yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what happened. I scheduled it, and it didn't post, so I posted it today. It was short and sweet.
Uh-huh.
You linked the video. So we talked about this on chat.
Uh-huh.
Let's reiterate what you said to me. You're pretty numb about the whole thing.
I'm pretty numb. I saw it happening. I watched the footage. I saw the reports and saw the mass hysteria and the madness again. And, they caught somebody and da-da-da. But what I was struck by my own subjective personal experience was that it didn't impact on me the way other things have before. Maybe because I'm getting tired of these things, but just, at the same time I posted up a post about Baghdad and where 27 people were killed, 2 kids were, it was the same deal except it happened in a cafe in Baghdad.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I know that Michael Moore got a lot of jip because he put up a post on Twitter saying 2 + 2 equals.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh no, you can't say that," and I think he's got a fair point. I mean, if the US is going to keep pushing this foreign policy it has, this is what we're discussing, and maybe it's too simplistic an argument, but if they're going to keep pushing the same thing, you reap what you sow. I don't know, is that a biblical reference? I hope not.
You just biblicized the
Yeah.
situation. You just went biblical, man.
Yeah, it's all this. It's repressed memories coming up, man. I'm going to start quoting. But really, that's what happens. I mean, they're going to sow discontent if they keep doing what they're doing. And for me, it's not surprising. It's kind of like, well, that's what you get. And I'm speaking as an Irishman, but speaking as a U.S. citizen as well. I mean, the problem is it might be very simplistic to say it, but what it boils down to, it's for every action there's a reaction.
Do you know what the sad part about all this is? I'll tell you what the sad part is. Sad part is that there's an entire industry that benefits from this.
From all of this.
This just feeds the military-industrial monster. That's all there is. I mean, I play poker. You know this, right? I'm a poker player. I was playing poker last night, and there was one guy sitting next to me at the poker table who was talking a lot of shit about his foreign contract employment with that military contractor that had to change their name twice.
Okay.
Blackwater. All right. Well, he's talking about the last assignment he was on, and he can't really tell us any details. But it was really, they did really good work, and they were instrumental in stabilizing Iraq, as if Iraq is stable. Okay. And then there was the guy across the table from me who's ex-Vietnam vet. And, of course, the whole topic came up because of what happened in Boston. And he was like, well, I think they're just going to have to take him and question him the way we used to in country. I mean, this is part of the problem, Ian. Part of the problem is that we have this entire industry / mentality that feeds on this crap. It's a paycheck. and as long as this paycheck is paying off, right, which it is in the form of a massive defense budget.
Yeah, but is that not affecting the debt?
Of course it does. It's 3/4 of the debt. We're paying $800 billion just for the Iraq War. For the Iraq War.
Yeah, and you saw what
that we
Bush
still
said.
have to pay. We still owe this.
Mm.
So, anyways, not to go too far off track, but the thing is that what you're talking about and what happened with this terrorist attack, it just feeds the machine. It just feeds to the fear and the paranoia. And I guarantee you, I already know. I don't even have to read the news, and I already know that there are GOP gun nuts that are going to use this as a way to keep gun laws weak.
To justify the vote, I suppose.
Of course, of course. So we don't learn anything from our mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We just give in more and more. This country just gives in more and more to the fear and paranoia.
And you give away
to the point of oblivion.
You give away all your liberties as well. I mean,
well, why do you think I don't live in the United States so much? Why do you think I'm not here that much? It makes me sick. When I made the decision to buy my boat back in 2003, it was because I saw this crap happening. I saw things going in this direction, and I didn't want any part of it. You know, that was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago that I made this decision.
Yeah, that's
things have only gotten worse.
Yeah. And they're going to keep getting worse, I suppose. That's the thing.
Well, you know, I mean, and again, you know, people. One guy posted on the NRA thing, one of my NRA posts. Oh, what does this have to do with atheism? What does this have to do? Like, what are you new here?
But you put up, yeah. Well, maybe you need to put up a little, but you've put up a description, and it doesn't say we're an atheist site, but people don't read, obviously. So,
well, you know, the description says it all. But the thing is we do cover topics. I mean, anyone who's been on our page for more than one visit knows that we do discuss other things. And it's going to be stuff that other people disagree with. But you know what? That's what makes the discussion so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you. For me, what bugs me the most is when people that don't agree with you, rather than state their case, rather than make their arguments, they're just like, well, that's it, I'm done, goodbye, see you later.
Consider yourselves unliked. That kind of thing.
Yeah, as if we're losing something from them leaving, as if it's hurting us. You know, I never ever get over that. Is this self-importance that some people have, thinking that their like is this massive commodity. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy with the fact that we're getting a lot of likes. I'm happy with the fact that we're getting a lot of comments. But that's not why we're doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We were doing this for more than a year before anybody liked us. Right or wrong? I mean, how many people watch this video? 30, 40 maybe on YouTube?
Really?
And we still do the video. Yeah. But we get a lot of views on the blog, the blog views. But on YouTube itself, we get maybe 30, 40 views. But so what? We still do it.
Still do it.
We still do it because it's interesting. It's therapeutic, you know. And I think at least it gives us a way to channel our points in a way other than just writing.
Well, they can see us as well. You know what I mean? I think that's a good thing. Is that they can see us.
At least in your case, you know, because you look kind of like Jesus, but I can't speak for myself.
Well, you look younger than you. You write younger than you look, apparently. So
I don't know. I feel like I'm aging rapidly here. I think I got to go back to Shangri-La. So, well, let's see. What else did we have to cover today? I think that was it. I think that was the main thing.
Well, there's just a post at the moment. There's an Indian man upset that we're focusing on India again because of
how about the rapes?
There's a rape of a 5-year-old, and she's in critical condition. She was kidnapped. Fuck knows what happened to her, and left on the side of a road or whatever happened. And this happens in India all the fucking time, but nobody really concentrates on it too much because, I don't know, they're too afraid of hurting Indian pride or something.
Politically incorrect.
I have absolutely no problem with it because it's part of the culture there. I've been there. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it's dark and it's not reported enough. So if there's anything going to be reported, I'm going to stick it up, because if India with a population of 1 billion plus people can change that part of their culture, then hopefully that would trigger something else in maybe Africa or other places where rape is so endemic.
Exactly.
That's
I'm in the middle of a response with this guy, the same guy you're talking about. I'm in the middle of a response with him. And, I just pointed out to him and said, hey, it's a fact that most agencies agree that only about 1 out of 10 rapes in India are actually even reported.
Yeah.
To the point where they're documented. So he is trying to raise statistics for rapes happening in the United States, happening in Canada, happening in the UK. And it's like, but you can't make your argument based on statistics if your own country doesn't have sound statistics.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
So he came back and said, my point exactly.
So he's agreeing with you. Well, okay.
But then he was trying to say that we should be pointing out and focusing on the problem rather than on the country, race, or ethnicity. And I'm like, but that is what we're doing. Yeah. Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we're focusing on the gun situation in the U.S., right?
Exactly. My detriment. My detriment. Yeah, I'm American.
You're a non-patriot and da-da-da-da-da.
Exactly. I'm a traitor. I'm a flag hater. I'm an Obama lover. I'm a liberal. I got called liberal at least 10 times yesterday.
You're a Democrat 50 times probably.
I'm a Democrat. Yeah, I'm a Democrat. I haven't been a Democrat in 15 years, but I'm a Democrat, Yeah. And what's really funny is that people are quick to label you black or white. They don't understand that you can probably be a non-ideologue, that you don't have to follow lockstep with some set of ideologies, even if you don't agree with them all. Bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's why I left the Libertarian Party. I left the Libertarian Party because I don't agree with the vast majority of what their platform is, and they lost me. But they haven't just lost me. They've lost Bill Maher. They've lost a lot of prominent libertarians because of this ridiculous Tea Party mentality that they think the free market can fix everything. They think that government has no role, which is stupid. I mean, it's fucking stupid. These are the same people who pay their taxes, who drive cars, register their tags, stop at stoplights, and they want complete and total anarchy. That's not libertarianism. That's anarchy, Fuck this shit. So I walked away. But people think you're either black or white, left or right. They don't understand that there is a lot of gray in between those two extremes.
Yeah, but it's easier to label. It's easier to throw names and go, oh, you're fucking, and that's it.
Well, tell me about it. I mean, I've been labeled everything from an agnostic, an apologist. I've been labeled, oh, you're not really an atheist.
No. Anti-Semitic? Have you got that? I get that quite a lot.
I have to take the litmus test now. I have to pass some litmus tests to admit, to understand that I don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And I'm telling you, one of the things that this blog and page is really teaching me is how segmented people really are.
Yeah. Once you touch on certain subjects, it's like lighting the paper, It's fucked up.
I find it hysterical, Ian, that people expect you to believe and agree on everything that they believe and agree on just because you're an atheist. They expect you to follow some party line.
Yeah. All atheists have to be like this. But it's not even an atheist page. Okay?
Thank you. And I'm always trying to explain to people is like, one of the things I find interesting about atheism is that we all agree that we don't believe in this deity bullshit. We all agree on that. Mm-hmm. But we all have different opinions and ideas about other things. That to me is the hope, is that we're all different except for this one thing. Mm-hmm. And people don't get that. They want us to think that we have to be on the same wavelength on everything, and that is never going to happen. And if there's ever going to be anything that's detrimental to the movement, whatever that means, is this.
Sure. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree.
Well, thank you. It's important we agree on these things.
Well, it's okay. We can agree on some things. I mean, we can disagree on others, and it's okay. That's for them, by the way, not for you.
I think a lot of people still have a problem with that. You know? I think a lot of people still need to experience a little bit more about the reality of life in the world and understand that you don't have to agree on everything. You don't have to agree.
It could really be that, Tony, because the thing is that myself and yourself have seen a lot of the world. And when you see a lot of the world, inevitably you're going to go, oh, fuck, my situation is way different than I thought it was. And maybe these people just haven't seen a lot of it. That could be it. I'm not trying to say that that's some incredible thing or anything, but, you know, we're fortunate to have seen that. That could explain.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. But one of the things is I think a lot of people have to understand is that you don't, even if you can't leave and go to the other side of the world, you have the fucking internet. You have the internet. You can find other people's viewpoints and see how things are going on in other parts of the world. Yeah, it's not exactly the same thing, but you can get a dose, you can get a taste of it if you step out and try to learn. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you, before I left for my boating adventure 10 years ago, I was an indifferent agnostic. I was, you know, I wasn't a vocal atheist by any means. My travels made me an atheist.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? My experiences made me an atheist. Seeing how horribly established churches
reacted to the... I remember you telling me a story about how they would fight to arrive first to a disaster zone.
Oh yeah.
Their own flag.
Yeah, these fucking missionary groups that had to be first on the scene for their relief efforts just so they can collect the most money. Yeah. I mean, that's what made me an atheist. That's what made me realize this is not only bullshit, it's a scam. It is a complete and total scam on humanity, and it must be stopped in my lifetime.
Well, let's be hopeful about it. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's the way I feel, though. That's the way I feel. That's why I became vocal. That's why I became outspoken. Because I saw with my own eyes what religion does to innocent people. Innocent, uneducated, poor people. And that's what made me an atheist. I feel better now.
You feel better? Good. Well, we're coming to the end of our session. So.
Yes, definitely. Any parting notes?
Just, you know, it's okay to disagree. I'll just do that every time. I'll just give a little sentence.
Oh, come on. Come up with something new.
Fuck, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know. Do whatever the fuck you like.
There you go. That's better.
That's better.
Porn is good.
But porn is good. Everybody knows it.
Oh, I gotta say one thing that's been killing me. We have this this girl on the page. Well, I'm assuming her name. Misako.
Oh yeah, she's very vocal these days.
She's super vocal, but man, she's becoming more and more rambunctious by the day. And I don't know what it is, but she was always kind of like. I gotta say, she's been really entertaining the last few days. Yeah, she's been super entertaining. And Misako, please, if you're watching, keep it up.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get her. We should get her on a hangout.
Try it out.
Huh? I'm gonna hit her up for it.
Hit her up for it, yeah.
We gotta start getting some guests on our hangouts. I think that'll like liven things up a little bit.
We need to maybe put out an invitation and ask.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other thing we got to talk about is the ongoing book idea. I know you've been out of the loop for the last 5 days, but we need to get that going too.
Yeah, well,
So,
we can do that off.
okay. Well, that does it for this segment. Thanks for everybody who's watching, if anybody is watching, and keeping up with the comments and the posts. We appreciate it as always.
Let us know what you think of the new backgrounds. That's always important.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll be outside next time. I think it's raining. I'm not doing it in the rain. So we'll see you guys on the page in the blog and ending broadcast now.